The night was quiet, and the small human town slept under a blanket of soft clouds. Evan, a young mechanic, sat alone in his workshop at the edge of the forest. He was fixing an old engine, humming without thinking, when the world suddenly shook around him. A loud boom tore through the air, followed by a flash so bright it turned night into day. Evan jumped to his feet, his tools falling from his hands. Through the workshop window, he saw a burning trail cutting across the sky like a screaming star. The object crashed deep inside the forest, fire exploding upward as if the ground itself had opened. Animals ran in all directions, and the wind carried a strange, metallic smell. Evan stood frozen for a moment, his heart pounding so hard he felt it in his throat. Part of him wanted to hide, to stay inside and pretend nothing strange was happening. But something inside him whispered that he had to go. A strange feeling crawled through his mind, like a voice trying to reach him. A soft echo, weak and broken, said only one word: help. Evan grabbed a flashlight and ran out of the workshop. The forest looked darker than usual, shadows dancing between the trees as the fire glowed in the distance. Branches cracked under his feet as he pushed forward, the smoke growing thicker with every step. He coughed, covering his mouth, but kept moving because the whisper in his mind returned again. Please, help my child. Evan stopped, fear running through his body. The voice was not coming from around him. It was inside his head. He wanted to turn back, but something stronger pushed him on. He had a feeling that whatever called him was suffering, and he could not ignore it. When he reached the crash site, he froze in shock. The spaceship, he could call it, that was half buried in the ground, shaped like a broken silver shell. Blue fire burned around it, eating the trees, lighting the forest like a dying sun. Metal pieces hissed and cracked, bending under the heat. Then he saw her. An alien woman lay on the ground beside the ship, her body glowing faintly under the firelight. Her skin was pale silver, her hair like thin strands of light, moving weakly with every breath she took. Her clothes were burning away, melting under the heat. Yet she held something close to her chest, protecting it with her body. Evan stepped closer, slowly, scared but unable to stop. The alien woman lifted her head with great effort, her eyes wide and filled with pain. She looked at Evan as if she had been waiting for him. Her voice came not from her mouth, but directly into his mind. Human, please, my child. Evan's eyes widened as he saw what she was protecting. A small alien infant, glowing like a soft blue crystal. Wrapped in the last pieces of her burned clothing, the baby moved weakly, making a tiny sound that felt like music and crying at the same time. The mother's hands trembled as she raised the child a little. Her skin was burning, yet she did not pull back. She only shielded the baby more tightly. Evan understood she had burned her own clothes to protect her child from the fire. He felt his fear melt into something else: pity, respect, responsibility. I don't understand, Evan whispered, though he knew she heard him in her mind. The alien woman forced herself to speak again, her voice breaking. Hunters. They come. They want my child. You must take him. Evan shook his head. I can't. I don't know anything about aliens. I'm just a mechanic. But the mother smiled weakly, a sad and brave smile. You have what they do not: a human heart. The ground shook as a distant metallic roar echoed through the forest. Evan felt the vibration under his feet, and the baby suddenly glowed brighter as if sensing danger. The alien mother looked toward the trees, fear filling her tired eyes. They are close, she whispered, her voice shaking. They will kill him. Unless you take him now. Evan's breath caught in his chest. He looked at the child, then at the dying mother, then at the burning sky above them. The forest had gone silent, as if it was holding its breath. Evan reached out his hand slowly, not sure if he was making the right choice. the alien mother placed the glowing baby into his arms. Her touch weak but full of trust, her eyes softened with relief. Even as her body collapsed further, "Human, you are our last hope," she whispered, and as the hunter's footsteps grew louder behind the trees, the night closed in around Evan, holding the alien child. He understood one terrible truth: his life had just changed forever. Evan held the glowing alien baby in his shaking arms. Feeling warmth and fear mix inside his chest, the infant was light, almost weightless. As if made from soft energy rather than flesh, the forest around him crackled with fire, and every shadow felt alive. The alien mother lay on the ground, breathing in short and painful gasps, her strength fading fast. Evan knelt beside her, unsure what to do. Unsure what he had already agreed to, his heart beat like a drum, louder than the roaring flames around them. "I don't understand," he whispered again, his voice trembling. "Why me? Why a human?" The alien mother's eyes slowly opened, glowing faint blue in the firelight. Her voice entered Evan's mind like a soft wind. "You came. You listened. Many would run. But you stepped into the fire." Her words were weak, but filled with meaning. "You have courage." That is why Evan looked down at the baby, who stared back with wide, shimmering eyes. The child didn't cry, didn't make a sound, only watched him as if studying his soul. Evan felt a strange comfort inside the infant's glow, a warmth that touched his heart. A low rumble echoed through the forest, branches shaking as if something heavy moved between them. The alien mother's eyes sharpened with fear. "They are here. The hunters," she whispered. Her body shivered as if the very sound of that name brought pain. Evan stood, holding the baby tight. "Who are they?" he asked, but she answered only with sorrow. The ground trembled again, and distant red lights flickered between the trees. Evan could feel danger growing closer like a storm. He looked around desperately, searching for a way out, but there was none. The alien mother lifted her hand with effort, pointing at him. "You must listen." "There is little time," she coughed, glowing dust drifting from her mouth like shimmering ash. "My child carries a light, a power my people protect." Her voice trembled. "If the hunters take him, that light becomes a weapon, not hope." Evan swallowed hard, the weight of her words crashing into him. "I can't protect an alien baby," he said, his voice cracking. "I'm just a mechanic. I fix engines, not fight monsters." The mother gave a faint smile, broken but proud. "That is why you can. Because humans fight when they must." Her hand slowly touched Evan's wrist, and he felt a sudden rush in his mind. Images flashed her homeworld. Shining towers, silver skies, then darkness. Fire and war. He saw her running with the baby, hiding, escaping, burning through stars to reach Earth. He saw the hunters destroying everything in their path, machines with no mercy and no heart. Evan gasped as the vision faded, stumbling backwards. The baby reached a tiny hand toward him, its glow soft and pleading. Evan felt something deep inside him shift. This child wasn't just an alien baby. It was a survivor, a last hope. And the mother had risked everything to carry him across galaxies. The alien mother lowered her hand, exhaustion heavy in her eyes. "My life ends here." But his must not. Her voice in Evan's mind grew faint, like a candle flickering in the wind. "You must take him. Hide him. Protect him with your human heart." Evan looked at her, then at the burning ship, then at the trees where red lights blinked closer. "Where do I go?" he asked helplessly. "How do I stop them?" She closed her eyes briefly, gathering the last of her strength. "Do not fight them with power. Fight them with what humans have. Ideas, instinct, courage." Her breath trembled. The hunters understand strength, but they do not understand creativity or sacrifice. The trees behind them cracked loudly. And Evan spun around. Large metal shadows moved between the flames. Tall and silent like armored ghosts, the hunters were close to close. The baby in Evan's arms glowed brighter, reacting to their nearness with fear. Evan felt panic rise. He knelt again beside the mother. "I don't know if I can do this," he whispered. Her hand rose once more, touching the baby's head. The glow around the infant pulsed softly, then surrounded Evan like a warm shield. "You can." "Because you must," she said. "You asked why a human. This is the answer." Her hand dropped, the last of her strength slipping away. Evan felt tears sting his eyes, not because she was alien, but because she was a mother who had given everything her ship, her strength, her life, to save her child. A sudden mechanical roar filled the clearing. A hunter stepped into view, red eyes burning like coals. It scanned the area, its voice cold and sharp. "Target detected." Evan froze. The mother opened her eyes one last time. "Run," she whispered in his mind, soft as a dying star. "Save my child." And then her eyes went still, her glow fading. Evan held the baby close and turned to flee as the hunters moved forward. His human heart racing, louder than the fire, louder than the fear. The forest opened before him, dark and uncertain. But he ran anyway, because now he was the child's only hope. Evan ran through the burning forest with the alien baby held tightly against his chest. Branches snapped under his boots, smoke stung his eyes, and every breath felt like fire behind him. The hunters moved through the trees with cold, steady footsteps. They didn't run. They didn't rush, they didn't shout, they just followed, slow and certain, as if they already knew their prey could not escape. The baby trembled in his arms, glowing brighter with fear. Evan whispered, "It's okay. I've got you." Even though his voice shook badly, he had no plan, no weapon. Nothing but panic and instinct pushing him forward. But the mother's final words echoed inside his head. "Fight with your ideas. Your instinct, your human heart." A sharp metallic howl tore through the forest. Evan stumbled, turning his head just enough to see a hunter stepping into the firelight. It was tall, almost 2 meters, with armor like dark metal bones. Its eyes glowed red like burning coals, scanning the area without emotion. When it saw Evan, its voice rang out, cold and machine-like. Primary target located. Evan's legs screamed in pain, but he forced himself to move faster. He ducked under a fallen tree, jumped over roots, and slid down a slope of ash and dirt. The hunter followed, slow but unstoppable. Moving with precise steps that never slipped or stumbled, another voice echoed through the trees. Secondary target confirmed. Evan realized with horror they meant the baby. Their goal was not just to kill the mother, they wanted the child alive. The baby's glow suddenly flared, sending a wave of heat across Evan's hands. He looked down and saw the infant staring at him with wide, frightened eyes. "It's okay." "Little one," Evan whispered, even as tears filled his own. "I won't let them take you." He reached the bottom of the slope and found a narrow path between 2 giant rocks. He squeezed through, hoping the hunters were too large to follow. But when he looked back, the metal giant simply pushed the rocks aside. The stones cracked, shifting under its strength like paper. Evan felt hope slipping away, but he kept moving because stopping meant death for both of them. The forest suddenly opened into a small stream, the water glowing orange from the reflection of fire. Evan jumped into the shallow water, hoping it might hide his trail. Cold water splashed up his legs as he ran along the stream. But the hunters were not fooled. One of them scanned the water and spoke again. Thermal signature unchanged. Evan cursed under his breath. These things didn't track footprints, they tracked life heat. and the baby glowed like a tiny star, easy to find. The trees around him shook again as another hunter appeared to his right. This one was smaller but faster, its body shaped for speed. It leaped between fallen logs with silent grace, and every time it landed, its red eyes locked onto Evan. "Do not resist," it said, its voice emotionless. "Return the infant." Evan's heart pounded harder. "I'm not giving you anything," he shouted. He was shocked at his own courage. A few hours ago, he was just a mechanic fixing engines. Now he was arguing with death machines in a burning forest. The baby pressed a tiny hand to Evan's chest. A warm pulse moved through his body like a heartbeat not his own. For a moment, Evan felt calmer, stronger, as if the child was giving him some of its courage. The fast hunter suddenly leaped forward, landing only a few steps behind him. Its metal claws scraped against stones, sparking bright light. Evan turned sharply and ran up a steep hill. Slipping and pulling himself forward with both hands, his breath came in painful gasps, and his legs felt ready to collapse, but he kept going, because a single thought burned inside him. I must protect him at the top of the hill. Evan saw a fallen tree forming a narrow bridge over a deep trench. Without thinking, he ran across it. Balancing the baby with one hand and steadying himself with the other, the old log cracked under his weight. Pieces broke off, falling into the darkness below. The hunter jumped onto the log behind him. Its heavy body made the entire trunk shake and tilt. Evan felt himself slipping, his boots sliding across the bark. He grabbed the log tightly, holding the child close. The hunter stepped forward. Each step breaking more of the wood, the log gave a loud crack. Evan felt the world tilt. He jumped, pushing off with all the strength he had. The log fell into the trench, taking the hunter with it. Evan hit the ground hard on the other side. Rolling to protect the baby, his chest throbbed with pain. His ears ringing, he looked down at the child. The baby blinked up at him, glowing softly, alive and safe. Evan let out a breath he didn't know he was holding, but the relief lasted only seconds. Because behind him, deeper in the forest, many red lights began to shine. Not one hunter, not too many. Their voices rose together, cold and merciless. Target escaping. Continue pursuit. Evan stood. Shaking but determined, he held the alien baby closer. The forest burned around him, but he did not stop, because now he understood something clearly. He was not just running from the hunters. He was running toward a promise he made. A promise to a dying mother. A promise to save her child. And no matter how many hunters followed, he would keep that promise. Evan stumbled through the dark forest. Sweat running down his face as the alien baby glowed softly in his arms. His muscles burned, his lungs hurt. But he kept moving, because stopping meant death, behind him. The hunter's red lights flickered between the trees like cold. Angry stars, their metallic voices echoed through the forest. Calm and deadly. Target moving. Continue tracking. Evan knew the forest well, and that gave him a small advantage. He turned sharply at a hidden path only locals used, pushing through hanging vines and thick branches. The baby made a soft sound, a tiny hum that vibrated against Evan's chest. The sound somehow eased his fear. Helping him breathe again. "It's okay," Evan whispered, trying to convince both the baby and himself. The forest opened into a small hill overlooking his workshop in the distance. The metal roof reflected the firelight from the burning woods. It wasn't safe. But it was the only place he knew where tools and shelter waited. If he could reach it, he might buy a few minutes, enough to think. Enough to plan. As he started down the hill, the baby suddenly reached out and touched Evan's neck. A soft pulse of warmth flowed through him, like a gentle spark lighting up his mind. Evan blinked as a faint vision flashed behind his eyes, a memory of the alien mother touching the baby. Calming him, guiding him, protecting him. For a moment, Evan understood the child wasn't just glowing. He was communicating. "Are you trying to help me?" Evan whispered, amazed. The baby blinked slowly, as if answering yes. Evan felt a strange courage growing inside him. He no longer felt completely alone when Evan reached the edge of the forest. He could see the hunters approaching. Their steps were slow but steady. Their red eyes unblinking. One of them raised an arm. A scanner beginning to glow blue. Evan ducked low and sprinted toward the workshop. The door was half open, and he pushed through it, locking the bolt behind him. The workshop smelled of oil, metal, and old engines. Metal shelves lined the walls, filled with tools, wrenches, welding torches, batteries, wires, scrap parts. This was his world, the only world he understood. Maybe he could turn it into a battlefield, or at least a trap. He placed the baby inside a padded toolbox, leaving the lid open so the child could see him. The baby watched quietly, trusting him completely. "Don't worry," Evan said, wiping sweat from his face. "I'll protect you." He didn't know if it was a promise he could keep. But to survive, he had to try. Evan grabbed a heavy welding laser he used for cutting metal plates. He connected it to a portable battery, twisting wires until sparks flew. Then he aimed the laser at the workshop door, leaving the trigger propped against a tool rack if a hunter forced the door open. The beam would fire straight at its chest. Next, he grabbed old engine oil and poured it across the floor. The workshop filled with the sharp smell of fuel. He attached loose wires to a battery pack and placed them near the oily puddle. If the hunter stepped on the wires, the spark would ignite the oil instantly. "Let's see if machines understand human tricks," Evan whispered, his voice shaking with a mix of fear and determination. The baby hummed softly again. Evan looked at him, feeling strength return to his tired body. "You believe in me, don't you?" he whispered. The child's glow warmed the room just a little. It felt like an answer. A sudden metallic thud hit the workshop door. Evan flinched. Grabbing a wrench in one hand and the laser trigger in the other, another thud followed, louder this time. The door hinges groaned, struggling against the force. Then the door burst inward. The laser trap fired instantly, a bright beam slicing through the smoke-filled air. The hunter took the hit directly in its chest, its armor glowing red as sparks flew. The machine staggered but didn't fall. Instead, it scanned the room calmly despite the damage. Resistance detected. "Adjusting strategy," it said. Evan threw the wrench at its head and grabbed the baby from the toolbox. The hunter stepped forward, its foot hitting the live wires. A violent spark jumped across the floor. Igniting the engine oil, flames rushed upward, surrounding the hunter in a burning wave for the first time. The machine reacted. Its red eyes flickered. Its movement slowed. Evan didn't wait to see if it would recover. He kicked open the back door of the workshop and ran into the night behind him. The workshop glowed orange as the fire spread. The hunter inside struggled, metal cracking under the heat. Evan ran into the dark fields beyond his home. The baby clung to his shirt, warm and silent. "You helped me fight," Evan whispered, breathless. "You really did." But as he looked back, he saw more red lights appear at the edge of the forest. Many more. The hunters were not done. Not even close. Evan tightened his hold on the child and kept running into the darkness. Because now, he was not just running for survival. He was running as a protector. A human protector, and he would not stop. No matter what followed behind him, Evan ran across the open field, his boots sinking into the soft dirt as the alien baby glowed warmly against his chest. Cold night wind cut across his face, but it felt like nothing compared to the fear burning inside him. Behind him, the forest crackled, and the hunter's red lights moved like silent ghosts. They did not rush, they did not shout. They simply advanced with quiet confidence. Machines that believed they could not lose, Evan reached an old barn at the far edge of town. Its wooden walls leaned like tired bones, and the roof sagged, but it was shelter, and he needed even 1 second to think. He pushed the door open with his shoulder and slipped inside. The barn smelled of hay, dust, and rust. Old farm tools hung on the walls: scythes, ropes, broken plow parts. A rusted chainsaw that hadn't worked in years. In the corner sat a tractor that hadn't moved since Evan was a child. But Evan saw not old junk, he saw weapons. Traps, chances. He set the baby on a pile of soft hay, leaving the child wrapped in his jacket. The baby blinked at him, calm but glowing slightly. Evan knelt, brushing the baby's tiny cheek with his thumb. "Stay here for a moment," Evan whispered. "I need to protect you. I need to fight for you." The baby hummed softly, a gentle glow spreading across the hay. Evan felt courage rise again inside him. It was strange. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't brave. He was just a mechanic. But something inside him refused to let these machines decide the baby's fate. He grabbed the old chainsaw and yanked the cord. It didn't start. He tried again. Nothing. He cursed under his breath, then grabbed pliers, pulling out old wires and reconnecting them in his quick, messy, human way. He tried again. The chainsaw sputtered, coughed, and then roared to life. Evan almost laughed from relief. "Good. I'm going to need you," he said, patting the chainsaw like it was an old friend. Outside the barn, heavy footsteps approached. The ground trembled under the weight of metal bodies. Evan moved fast, setting up anything he could find. He placed old metal rake heads under loose hay. Sharp teeth hidden, he tied ropes across paths, anchored to heavy beams so the machines would trip. He balanced wooden planks above the entrance, ready to fall like a hammer. He wasn't going to overpower the hunters, but maybe he could confuse them, slow them, break them piece by piece. Human tricks for non-human enemies, a cold metallic voice echoed from outside. Life's signature detected. Evan felt his stomach twist. They were close. He grabbed a pitchfork and held it tightly. His hands trembled, but his eyes didn't look away from the door. He stood between the baby and the entrance, because that was where he belonged. The barn door shook as something hit it. Dust drifted down from the ceiling. The second hit cracked the wooden planks. A third hit shattered the door completely. A tall hunter stepped inside, red eyes scanning the darkness. "Return the infant," it said calmly. Evan stepped backward, closer to the baby. "You're not taking him," he said, his voice steady, even though fear aided him. The hunter took 1 step forward, activating its scanners. But its foot struck a rope hidden under hay. The rope pulled tight, releasing the wooden beam Evan had set up. The beam swung down hard like a giant hammer, slamming into the hunter's head. The machine staggered, its eyes blinking erratically. Evan charged with the pitchfork, jamming it into the hunter's chest plate. Sparks flew, the metal cracked. The hunter grabbed the pitchfork and snapped it like paper. But the damage was done. Its chest armor remained open, fried from the inside. The hunter advanced again, moving slower now. But before it reached Evan, it stepped on the hidden rake. Sharp metal teeth pierced its foot. Sending a jolt through its system, the machine froze for a moment. Stunned, Evan saw his chance. He revved the chainsaw, its engine roaring loud enough to shake the barn walls. The hunter turned just in time to see the spinning blade coming toward it. Evan swung with all the strength he had. The blade cut through the exposed chest plate. Ripping wires and circuits, the machine jolted violently, sparks flying like fireworks. Then it collapsed to the ground with a heavy thud. Smoke rose from its body, its red eyes fading to dark. Evan stood over it, panting, the chainsaw still humming in his hands. He looked down at the child, The baby glowed brighter, almost proud. But Evan's victory lasted only seconds. Because outside, many more footsteps gathered. Red lights lined up like stars of war. Voices spoke in cold unison, engagement confirmed. Deploying additional units, Evan felt his heart sink. He had destroyed one, but there were still many more. He grabbed the baby again, holding him tight. The barn walls shook as the rest of the hunters moved in. Evan ran toward the back exit. He didn't know where he would go. He didn't know how he would survive, but he knew one thing with absolute certainty. He would fight every machine, every hunter, every shadow. Because this child was not just an alien, he was innocent. And Evan would not let him fall into the hands of monsters. Not tonight, not ever. Evan ran from the barn, breath sharp and painful. The alien baby held close against his chest, behind him. The hunter's heavy footsteps shook the ground. Growing louder, stronger, closer. The night air felt colder now. As if the darkness itself feared what was coming, Evan pushed forward, forcing his tired legs to move through the long field grass. Each step felt heavier than the one before it. The baby glowed brighter with every passing second. The light wasn't warm. Now it pulsed in sharp bursts. Like the child was frightened or confused. "Hey, it's okay." "Stay with me," Evan whispered, panting hard. But the glow only grew stronger. Evan could feel the energy vibrating through his arms. Making his hands tremble, the hunters reached the edge of the field. Their red eyes locked onto Evan. One raised an arm. Charging an energy shot that hummed through the air, Evan ducked, rolling behind a fallen log as the blast smashed into the ground beside him. The dirt exploded in a shower of dust and sparks. The baby cried out a sound that felt more like a wave of emotion flowing through Evan's mind. Evan touched the baby's head gently. "It's okay. I won't let them hurt you," he whispered, even though fear squeezed his chest tightly. He crawled along the low grass until he reached a small ditch, sliding down into it for cover. But the hunters were not fooled. Their voices carried through the night, cold and certain. Target cornered. "Prepare containment." Evan peeked over the ditch edge, seeing 3 hunters spread out, moving in a triangle formation. They were closing the gap slowly, carefully, like they had done this 1,000 times before. The baby reached up and touched Evan's cheek. A sudden warmth spread across Evan's face. Then through his whole body. It wasn't physical, it was emotional. A feeling of trust, fear, hope, all mixed together. The child wasn't trying to escape or hide. He was asking Evan for protection, begging him. Evan swallowed hard. Something heavy shifting inside his chest. He didn't know how to fight machines with advanced alien tech. He didn't know how to save galaxies. He didn't know how he became the protector of something so important. But he knew one thing: he couldn't give up. The hunters stepped closer, scanning the ditch. Their cold voices echoed again. "Human, surrender the infant. Resistance unnecessary." Evan stood slowly, holding the baby tightly with both arms. The hunters froze, analyzing his movement. Their eyes glowed brighter, their scanners activated. Blue lines sweeping across Evan's body. "He is scared because of you," Evan said, surprising himself with the strength in his voice. "He's just a child. You have no right." The hunters did not respond with emotion. They had none. But their scanners hummed louder. Infant energy levels rising. Unstable, risk increasing. Evan felt the baby's body tense. The glow around the child expanded suddenly, wrapping Evan in a soft bubble of light. His skin tingled, his heart raced. He felt the baby's emotions like they were his own: terror, confusion, longing for safety. Evan hugged him tighter, whispering, "I'm here. I'm here. I won't let you go." The glow flared, bright enough to blind Evan for a moment. The hunter stepped back, recalculating. Energy surge detected. Infant reaching critical output. Evan saw it too. The child was losing control. If the energy exploded, it would kill everyone, including Evan himself. No. No, don't do that, he whispered urgently. He held the baby closer, rocking him gently. You're safe. With me, it's okay. Look at me. The baby's glow flickered. His eyes shifted from panic to confusion. Then slowly, calm. The hunters stopped moving. Their machines did not understand what they were seeing. A human calming a galactic-class energy infant. That was impossible for them. The nearest hunter stepped forward. Raising its arm again, it aimed directly at the child. Evan reacted without thinking. He grabbed a broken shovel from the ditch and swung it with everything he had. The metal handle cracked against the hunter's head. The machine staggered, sparks flying. Evan took that moment and slammed the shovel again. This time, the headplate dented in, blue light flickered out. The baby's glow surged again, but this time not from fear. From anger, from protection, a wave of energy burst out, knocking the nearest hunter back several meters. It crashed into the ground, limbs sparking wildly. The other hunters recalculated instantly. Infant energy threat confirmed. Neutralization required. Evan stepped back, shielding the baby with his entire body. You're not touching him, he said, voice low. He didn't know where the strength came from, but it was there, deep and real. The baby pressed his forehead against Evan's chest. A soft glow spread outward, covering them both. Evan felt it like a heartbeat. Warm, steady, alive. Then the child raised a tiny hand. Light spiraled from his fingertips. Not wild, not uncontrolled, but focused, guided. Because Evan was there, a beam of blue energy shot forward. Hitting the lead hunter square in the chest, the machine erupted in sparks. Falling to its knees, another blast followed. This time knocking a second hunter into a rock with shattering force. The third hunter tried to retreat, but the baby released one last pulse. A gentle wave of glowing light that washed across the field. The hunter froze mid-step, circuits shorting out. Then it collapsed, silent and lifeless. The field went quiet. Smoke drifted through the air. The only sound left was Evan's heavy breathing. He looked down at the child. The baby blinked slowly. Exhausted but safe, Evan held him close, whispering, "You did it. We did it." Together, but then the sky above them lit up. A bright ship descended from the clouds. Silent and massive. Not a hunter ship, something else entirely. Evan's heart froze as the ship hovered overhead. A calm voice echoed from above. "We have come for the child. And for you." Evan stood frozen in the open field. The alien baby resting against his chest. Smoke from the defeated hunters drifted through the air like thin ghost trails. The massive ship above him hummed softly. Not threatening, not hostile, just watching. Its silver-blue surface reflected the moonlight, glowing like a living star. Evan's heart pounded as a soft beam of light fell from the ship, touching the ground in front of him. He stepped back, holding the baby tighter. The child hummed, a soft note that vibrated through Evan's body. The baby was not afraid, and that scared Evan even more. A figure slowly descended through the beam. Floating with quiet grace, it wasn't a machine. And it didn't look like a hunter, it looked alive. Its body shimmered like the mother's silver skin, glowing gently. Long hair flowing like strands of starlight. But its eyes deep blue and calm felt older, wiser. It landed softly on the ground. The glow fading around it, human Evan, the figure spoke. But its mouth did not move. The voice reached directly into his mind. Peaceful and steady. Do not fear, Evan swallowed, unsure whether to trust or run. He took one slow step back. Who are you? He asked quietly, His voice trembled, but he stood his ground. The alien bowed its head gently. "I am Erelon, guardian of the Lumerian line." Its gaze moved to the baby in Evan's arms. "And that child is the last heir of our starborn family." Evan looked down at the baby, who blinked up at Erelon with bright, curious eyes. A warm glow spread from the infant's tiny hands, lighting Evan's shirt. "He's just a child," Evan said softly. "A child you all keep chasing." Erelon closed his eyes for a moment, sadness touching his face. "His mother was brave," Erelon said, voice full of quiet pain. "She gave her life to escape the machines. She carried him through war and darkness to reach a safe world." His voice softened further. "She chose Earth because she believed humans have something precious." Evan felt a weight in his chest. He remembered her final words, her final look. "She trusted me," Evan said, his throat tightening. "She told me to protect him." Erelon stepped closer. "Slow and gentle, and you did," he said. More than anyone expected, he looked at the fallen hunters, their bodies broken in the grass. "You fought machines with only your mind and courage." Then he looked deeply into Evan's eyes. "You saved the air of our people." Evan shifted uncomfortably. Not knowing how to accept such praise, "I didn't do it for glory," he whispered. "I did it because he needed someone." Erelon nodded, as if he already knew. "The child responded to your heart, to your human bond." He raised his hand slowly, offering it toward the baby. "We have come to take him home, to protect him, to rebuild our future." Evan felt the baby grip his shirt tighter. The child's glow brightened and pulsed like a heartbeat. He wasn't scared, he was choosing. He was clinging to Evan, refusing to let go. Evan looked at Erelon, confused. "He doesn't want to leave." Erelon paused, surprise flickering in his calm eyes. "He has formed an imprint," Erelon whispered. "His kind does not form bonds easily. But with you, he has." Evan froze. "What does that mean?" Erelon stepped back slightly, giving space. "It means he has chosen you as his guardian spirit, his protector." He looked at Evan with something close to respect. "If he leaves you now, his energy will break. He will not survive the separation." Evan stared at the baby, feeling the weight of those words settle on his shoulders. "You're saying, if I let him go, he'll die?" Erelon nodded slowly. "Yes. Only you can calm him, guide him, keep his power steady." Evan looked up at the enormous ship, feeling the baby's tiny fingers gripping his collar. "I'm just human," he whispered. "How can I protect him from everything out there?" Erelon placed a gentle hand on Evan's shoulder. "Not by being strong," he said, "but by being who you already are." He pointed toward the stars. "Come with us. Learn, grow. Let the child survive with the one he trusts." Evan felt his breath catch. Leave Earth. Leave his life. Leave everything he ever knew. He looked down at the baby. The child reached up and touched Evan's cheek. A soft wave of warmth passed into his heart, a feeling of belonging, of purpose, of connection. Evan exhaled slowly, the decision settling inside him like truth. He nodded once, firm and calm. "I'll go," he said. "I'll protect him. Wherever we go." Erelon smiled gently. "Then your new journey begins now." The beam of light expanded around them, warm and weightless. Evan held the baby close as the ground drifted away beneath his feet. He rose toward the waiting ship, toward the unknown stars, toward a future he could never have imagined. But he did not fear it, not anymore. Because he wasn't going alone, he was carrying hope in his arms. A child who trusted him completely, and together they would face whatever waited in the faraway skies. A new beginning, a new destiny, a new home among the stars.